Countrywide Connect with Andy Thompson and Sarah Perriam-Lamp.
It is time to talk sport. I can see who's that. Dave Worsley's there. Worsel in Auckland. I am not sure if Brian Ashby has made it to us yet.
Yep, I'm here.
G'day Gash. How are you, mate? Welcome to the
good, man.
Yep. Thanks for your time. Nice to have you there, and also Worsel. Nice to have you there from Auckland. Seeing as we'll start with Auckland, Worsel. What a fantastic result the other night. That was absolutely brilliant. Auckland FC on Saturday night, 1-0. What a great piece of theatre that was.
I thought you were talking about the Blues for a while, that they didn't lose any points. They didn't drop any points. So they stayed on the table. No, you weren't? Fantastic result for Auckland FC to win that final, albeit, as a lot of finals are, a very scrappy final and not one of the most beautiful, but all that counted in the end was actually taking out the win. And great success. Next season will be interesting because I guess the player payments are different. You're not allowed to quite pay as much, and that's fine. They help out the A-League as also the NRL does, help out the new teams for a certain number of years. There's also new restrictions coming in as well. So let's see what happens, but certainly great result for the club and also for football.
Yep, absolutely. What about you, Gash? What did you make of it? And Wurzel was right. That first half was awful.
Look, the thing that that struck me about them in recent games, they had so much momentum earlier in the season. Getting to the final, they sort of got the speed wobbles late in the round robin, and didn't look quite the dominant force that they had early on. But they're such a physical side, and you're going to know you've played a game, you've played 90 minutes when you come up against them. You're pretty sort of beaten up off the back of it. And I just like the way they just found a way, even though they probably weren't playing as blowing a game as they had been earlier on. They found a way to get the job done. That was one thing. The other thing that sort of struck me about it was I felt sorry for Yellow Fever fans, all the years of the Phoenix toiling away in the A-League and their loyal fan base and things. But look, two professional teams in New Zealand, I think it's wonderful. And outside of All Whites playing at World Cups and some of the deeds of individuals playing in Europe and Premier League and things over the years, it's the most significant thing that's happened in New Zealand football. And we've got a big fan base in this country, but you don't necessarily get to see it because our own national league, it's got a tight and loyal following, but it doesn't get the exposure to the wider audience in the same way that other sports in New Zealand do. So I thought it was a real milestone moment, very, very special, and massive congrats and to those cool fans up there in Auckland that like Warriors fans in Auckland really add something to the sporting culture of New Zealand.
Yeah, Wurzel, it was nice to see Auckland finally win something. Finally.
What do you reckon about that, Gash? I seem to remember a few successes here and there. I think the other thing is, though, that in all truthfulness, when it comes to overall Auckland supporters, and that includes North Harbour and counties, regions as well, is that there's such a diverse range of people, and that's over a third or more now of the population were born outside of Auckland. It is a very cosmopolitan city, and that there are so many sports that are popular. However, that's the thing. There are so many that are popular. If there was a rugby test on in the city or anywhere else, you might not even know it in some suburbs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the Breakers enjoy a great support base up there as well too, don't they? Of course, the atmosphere at their games is tremendous. So they've come. If you go to the early days of the A-League, when we had the Knights and the Kings and things up there, and the support was really disappointing. So they've got something right with their marketing. Maybe they've sort of been looking at the Phoenix over the years, and they've had something to model on. I don't know. You're probably a better judge of it, Dave, living there, but certainly things have moved on from the early days of New Zealand involvement in that franchise.
I think it was jealousy that finally the Phoenix did get it going, albeit with a couple of false starts. And Auckland would say, hang on, we should be doing that. Well, you did. And I was one of the people who actually kind of assisted with the downfall of one of those teams when the player payments when the players weren't getting paid, I had to actually ask the question, and that became a big story about it. But that's the thing. There became a bit of jealousy. Hey, Wellington's got one. Why don't we? And then obviously it's now developed.
Absolutely, and the fan base is so passionate. It is very good to see. Speaking of a passionate fan base, I just want to quickly touch on the State of Origin, and like it sneaked up on me this year. I kind of didn't. I must have missed all the pre stuff, but then when it hit, it just reminded me that this evening, this competition is one of the best sporting theatres, I think, that is in Australasia. Gash, do you agree with me on this?
Yeah, I think it snuck up on New South Wales a bit too, going by that first half.
That first 20.
Yeah, 20-0 down, and they sort of found their way into the game late in that first half, and obviously with the sending off, it was amazing. But yeah, I look at it. I mean, it's unless you've been to it from this side of the Tasman and gone over there, we don't quite understand the culture of Australian sport, and you throw AFL into that mix as well. That the passion and behind State of Origin is just enormous. And look, it's set up beautifully, isn't it? We've got 2 games left, and I can't begin to pick it. I don't know which way it's going to go. It did sneak up on me, but it's here now, and probably a good weekend for the Warriors to be striking the Panthers. Well, I would imagine in the middle of the State of Origin series.
That was that we're going to talk about that. Wurzel, the head high, the send off, warranted? Do you think?
Oh, gee, I mean, it seems that, and it always has seemed that the State of Origin has slightly different rules when it comes to head highs and everything really. You can do certain things in NRL and get away or not get away with them. But when it comes to State of Origin, it seems you could basically dismantle someone's body and get away with it if you're a star.
Yeah. Gash, what did you, what was the name of, did you see the commentator at the end of the game? What was his, I'm just trying to rack my brains.
Phil Gould.
Phil Gould. What did you make of his behaviour?
Look, I don't know. I went straight to bed actually, right on full time. So I don't know. I've seen a headline. I haven't opened the story out, so I can't really comment.
Did you see it? Did you see it, Wurzel? Did you see what?
No, I didn't see it, but I was very disappointed with the commentary, and I think that's some of the commentary that's crept into both cricket in Australia and also NRL and basketball, and it's crept into New Zealand as well. Is how about we commentate the game? Not on what I ate for breakfast and how in the past we had a good fun in the locker room together. Wasn't it nice? Commentate on the game a little bit. Give us educate the viewers.
Yeah, Phil Gould was asked to comment. He was part of the team or the commentary team discussing the game, and he looked straight at the interviewer and he said, "You're asking the wrong person. You better not. I'm not going to comment, otherwise you'll get in trouble." And it was one of those drop dead mic moments where everyone goes, "What is going on?" Anyway, rightio. Let's talk. Well, let's just talk about the Warriors then. Top two against playing Penrith on Sunday at 8:15. Gash, you said potentially a good weekend to get them. Probably right.
Yeah, well, I think Nathan Cleary's listed. I note in the 23. I think that they've named on the interchange. But will he appear? He's such an influential player. Warrior. How many Panthers players are in that New South Wales team? Probably some in Queensland as well. I'm not sure, but the Warriors not the same level of impact I would have thought as the Panthers. So if you're going to strike them at any time, I think a few days after the opening round of State of Origin's probably not the worst time. But I think it is. Look, it's stacked against the Warriors. I see the TAB sort of gone heavily in favour of the Panthers, and of course they've got home advantage as well. So it's hard to it's hard to imagine the Warriors getting the job done. But like you say, it's time to be striking them.
Wurzel, what do you make of it?
Yeah, as Gaz said, it is arguably the best time to actually play against Penrith. Remember, they're first and the Warriors are second. It's not a massive change between each two. It's just that the Panthers have been so consistent over the last few years, whereas the Warriors are being consistent this year. And it's remarkable to see. There's only a couple of Warriors players out, and I think that they could really push them and challenge them. It's just that we've got this reserved judgment over the Warriors because they haven't had this consistency, well, basically before, or certainly for such a long time. So we're all a bit worried about maybe they are, but maybe they won't.
I love it when even the commentators are saying in other years the Warriors would have lost this game. And that's so true, isn't it, Gash?
Well, yeah, and this is what I like about this team under Webster is that they actually have a bit of character. When things would go wrong, they would somehow find a way to lose games that they should have been winning. They'd drop their heads, and frankly, a lot of those teams of past years were just plain unprofessional when you compared them to other sports teams in New Zealand. They were hugely disappointing and lacked character. Now that sounds really brutal, but and it is, but that was the cold, harsh reality, and how they had a loyal fan base that has stuck with them, a more loyal fan base than they've probably deserved. But we fast forward, we bring it to the right here, the right now, the present under Webster, and this is just a whole different kettle of fish. You got to give the players some credit. Let's not give it all to the coach. He's going to be a huge part of it, but maybe there are some leaders in there that I guess it's let's say it's player driven, and they set the standard, and everyone in that squad has to rise to that standard. And if you don't, you sort of cut out of the loop. And I think they've built a really good squad, even when they've had turnover of players. Occasionally they lose some great players for whatever reason, they head back across the Tasman and so on. They don't seem to have any missteps from it. So yeah, I've got probably for the first time since their opening season, the last year or two, I've had a lot more respect for this Warriors group.
Wurzel, is it their year?
I don't know about their year, but certainly they've got one up on the on Super Rugby for next year. Getting Eden Park on Anzac Day. I just can't believe the opportunities lost by Super Rugby, and the Warriors are going, well, hang on, why don't we go in here on Anzac Day? Because the Super Rugby mucked it up this year, and then, we can't, and it's all too hard, and we don't want to do this and we don't want to do that. Well, they mucked it up again because Eden Park, Anzac Day, guess who's playing there?
Yeah, all right. Well, they will have Super Round down here in Christchurch again at our new stadium, so we don't need to worry about that too much. Speaking of Super Rugby, Wurzel, Chiefs versus the Blues, you've actually got a win tonight to maintain a home quarter, if I understand.
Yeah, well, I think is that...
No, tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, you notice that both the Hurricanes and also the Chiefs have named what we'll say weakened sides for their particular games. The Blues side is normal-ish. No Patrick Tuipulotu, although the Looseford trio is a very good young trio for the Blues. The Chiefs, not Satutu, we've got Sasiti is the captain. Their backline is a little bit indifferent this week. I think the Blues have a very good opportunity on Saturday night to actually get those points, because the Crusaders have a great opportunity to nail the Hurricanes, who have named, I wouldn't say a B side, but certainly not their strongest side.
Gash, what do you make of it? First, let's talk Crusaders, Hurricanes. I tend to agree with Wurzel on this one, which I don't normally do, but the fact that the Crusaders are unbeaten so far in their new stadium.
Yeah, that's a big thing, isn't it? It's interesting. You look at the obviously Roigard coming back, and Arianari's probably played his best Super Rugby ever, covering for Cam Roigard, but he's a good get. And Tyrell Lomax as well, barely sighted this year, starting tonight. So while I haven't got Geordie Barrett there, it's still not the worst team, particularly when you can bring Brad Shields in, who's mainly been playing off the bench, to captain the side. About 14 games for England or something. It's not a shabby Hurricanes team. And look, they're playing so well this year. The Crusaders, I was a little bullish a couple of weeks ago. Last time we were talking about how they might sort of go into the playoffs, but I was doing that based on the fact that two things would happen. A, Will Jordan would be back, and B, Scott Barrett would be back to tighten up, to strengthen that second row. Well, we now know that neither of them will be. And I guess the Canes and other teams tonight, and looking into the playoffs, will say, well, look, what a great game that was the Crusaders played against the Chiefs last week, but the cold, harsh reality was their set piece. wasn't up to, they got beaten up in one scrum in particular. Their line out wasn't accurate. They have a weakness in the second row. Good, solid players around the park, but in the set piece, that's the area that can be exploited. So, it's a good opportunity for the Crusaders tonight, but I don't think it's as clear-cut as some would have it.
All right. Hey, Brian Ashby, Dave Worsley, really appreciate your time on Countrywide Connect Talking Sport today. Thank you so much for your time. And hey, Wurzel, I'm coming up for the Spurs game the late July. So now they're
still in that Premier League.
Yes, they are still in the Premier League. You can, but you and I will catch up, and I'll give you that long promised beer, mate. Really appreciate it.
Countrywide Connect with Andy Thompson and Sarah Perriam-Lapp.